In this lesson, I'm going to be showing you how to edit a photo from beginning to end. Basically, in the last few lessons, we've learned the different tools that you can use in Photoshop, but now I'm going to walk through editing a photo as if this was actually me editing a photo. So if you want to follow along, you can open up the travelphoto.cr2 file in Photoshop. So here's a photo taken in Switzerland of this great fountain. And it's just a typical day in life kind of street shot. So the first thing I do when I start editing a photo is to crop it properly. So I'm going to take the crop tool. I'm going to use the normal feature and then just drag over the entire image. And then I'm going to take the edge or the corner of the bounding box and drag it in while holding shift so that I get that perfect aspect ratio, the same as the photo that I'm using. And then I'm just going to drag it around. Maybe I don't want to see the back of Isabel right here, and then just move it something where she's in the center with this fountain. Maybe just go up a little bit so we get some of this pink from these flowers, and then press return. So just a little adjustment like that can help. Just gonna go back a little bit, maybe even crop in a little bit more. Something maybe where she's in the bottom left corner might be a little bit more creative. Something like that's kind of fun. The next thing is going over here, play with the white balance. The white balance actually looks really good, so I'm not going to change that. Exposure, it feels a little bit underexposed, but that's because there's just a lot of dark parts of this image. So I brought up the exposure to 0.4, but I'm really just going to boost the shadows. So see the shadows in the hair, the dark parts of this fountain, these benches. I'm going to boost those just a bit. See what happens when I boost the blacks, and yeah, maybe boost the blacks just a little bit. With the highlights, I'll bring up the whites. And with the regular highlights, I'll just drop those down a little bit just to get a little bit more information from those highlights. Clarity, I'll just boost up just a little bit. If I crank it up to the right, I see what it would do down to the left. Sometimes I'd like to do that just to go really far just to see what it would do. I'll just boost it to 5 to get a little bit of that sharpness. And then with vibrance, I'll play around with this, go up to 10. Making the blues of the sweater, the pinks right here, and the greens really pop. Saturation, I'll leave at 0. Since I edited the exposure here, I'm not going to play with the tone curve. Sharpening, it's already at 25, which is great for raw images. I could zoom in here, see if it needs to be sharpened at all. I don't think it does. HSL, grayscale, not going to do anything here either. Maybe what I can do is boost the saturation of just the magenta or the purples to try to get these pink flowers a little bit more pink. So if I drop it, you can see that I am actually affecting these pinks right here. So I'll boost that a little bit. It probably boosts her tongue right here a little bit too. Split toning, going to leave that. Lens corrections, let me just see what happens when I enable profile corrections. I like the actual little bit of warp I get from the lens, so I'm just going to leave that. Dehaze, not going to do. Post-crop vignetting, I will add a little bit of vignetting. Feather it just a little bit more, so vignette is at -17. Midpoint will leave around 40. Maybe add a little bit more of a vignette, -33. Feather up to around 75. I really like the softer feathering a lot more. With the rest of these, I'm just going to leave those be. The only other thing I might do is use this brush, adjustment brush, to make Isabel right here a little bit brighter. So let me just make sure that all my settings are good. So I'm just going to boost the saturation so I can see where I'm painting, or I could just turn the mask on. So reset all of these. Using the mask, I can just paint on here, right about there. Then turn off the mask. I want to reset the temperature. I don't want the temperature to be cooler. Reset the tit as well. And just boost the exposure just a little bit. especially in those shadows. And not the blacks too much. You can see if I start to do the blacks too much, you start to get a little bit of a faded look, and I don't want that. Something like that's pretty good. The more and more I play with this photo, I feel like the crop is a little bit off. I feel like I have to either come in really close, something like this, or go out far. The cool thing about shooting with in the raw mode and shooting with a camera that shoots at a big megapixels is that you can crop in, especially if you're just going to be using this photo online and you're not going to be printing out huge. So maybe what I'll do is see what happens when I rotate it like this. This is kind of a cool perspective. I actually like seeing the fountain down here with the water dropping down into the fountain. I like still seeing the plants right here. I like seeing Isabella's face. And of course, this little spout that says potable water, eau potable. So let me just crop that, see what that looks like. That's kind of a cool photo. Maybe just make it a little bit bigger so we get a little bit of shoulder right there. Something like so. And who knew that I was going to be actually making this a vertical photo. I'm pretty happy with this photo, so I'm just going to save it. So I'm going to say save image. I'm going to save it to my desktop. JPEG, quality 10 is good. Say I'm going to post this online, I'm just going to limit the file size to 2000 kilobytes, which I think it's definitely going to do. So I'm just not going to use the quality 10. I'll just use the 2000 kilobytes. Resize to fit, I'll do width of 1500. Resolution 150 is good. No output sharpening, and just click save. Now I'm just going to go to my Finder, go to my desktop, open up my travel photo. Awesome. Very cool photo, very fun. And I would be happy to post this online, print it out, put it in a photo album or something else. So this was the whole process of editing a raw image. Let me know if you have any questions. And now it's time for you to take action and do one of your own. I think it's time for you to go out and take some photos, or if you have some photos that you haven't played around with or edited in the past, pick one of those, edit them, and post it to the class so that we can see. Thanks for watching.